All right, so I recently just got a Diana, and I realized that while these mags are great, they're actually far more reliable than a Nightingale mag. They only fit 10 darts. So I mean, I've designed an extender, but I still can't buy more of these. These are hard to find. So they fit Nightingale mags, but they don't lock in because the lock is in a much different position. So I designed a jig that you can use with normal Nightingale mags that cut a hole in them right like that, and it locks in. It's quite nice, and it works really well actually. So for this, I'm going to show you guys how to use the jig and how to use the Nightingale mag. So we're going to get into that. All right, so to get into this, we're going to need a Nightingale mag. We're going to need a printed jig. Now you can see it's got two cutouts. I've already used this one, so it's been a little bit marred towards the Diana cutout. It's got a Nightingale cutout to line up the mag. You're going to need an actual Nightingale mag. I'd like to have a Diana mag near me just to test it. If you bought a Diana and you're watching this video, chances are you've got one. So that'll be nice to adjust to. To start, we're going to take apart our Diana mag, or not a Diana mag, our Nightingale mag, as you don't want to have those springs and things in there while you load it into the jig, as it will push itself out of the jig. So for the jig, I have it cut out so you can see it lining up. You want to have that Nightingale notch lined up. That's to make sure your jig is actually working properly. You can see the back where it runs into. It just runs it into the edge, the back edge over here of the Nightingale mag to hold it where it is. And you want to hold it there. You can even use some tape if you want to tape it to the jig while you mark it. Why wouldn't you? Because you really don't want it moving, because when it moves, it becomes a problem, and you can end up with the cutting lines in the wrong spot, which makes your mag not work. And it'll take a lot more finagling later on and not give you necessarily a nice mag feel. So I like to tighten my mag jig to it. I use a razor blade. So I like to use a razor blade to score it, and then I'll use some pair of snips to cut into it, and then I will use a deburring tool like this to round the edges to make sure that it actually feeds properly. So you'll go in and you'll score the edge of the mag along. You can give it a good press and try to dig into it deeply. Up to you how deep you want to press to start this. You want to make sure your blade is directly against the actual jig. Don't feel bad about cutting into the jig. These are effectively disposable to make this mag work. You're going to want to then mark this way. Don't cut towards yourself, but sometimes that's the best answer for something like this. You're going to want to mark this way as well. You want to mark the top and the bottom of the jig. You can see that I'm starting to cut away some of the PLA, but that's fine. Realistically, the mag cutout on the Diana is significantly bigger than the mag cutout I'm making here. This yields a much more locked-in feel with the Nightingale mags. These are a little different, and the way the actual locking mag works inside the Diana is a little different than the Nightingale. So, yep, we just want to make sure that we're all marked, all directions, all the way to the edges. So now, what we can do is, before we take that off, we can try and dig in as much as possible. I did break a blade earlier doing a different mag, but I figured realistically these boxer blades are so cheap that it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't suggest using something like an X-Acto knife or anything like that, because that might cause issues. They're also a little more flimsy than these, so I wouldn't necessarily mess with those. I'm going to cut to where I'm happy with this being dug in. Alright, so I've been going at it for a little while. I'm going to pull this tape off and pull the jig out, pull the mag out of the jig. So you can see that it got cut a little bit. So there you can see the bit of a groove there. That's totally fine. Now we can start actually taking deeper cuts and pushing in more. Now we have more room. As the blade tapers, it becomes harder and you start digging into that more. So you can start to actually dig into the mag a little bit better. Realistically, this is the hardest one, the top section, to dig into. You're going to scratch your mag with this. These are polycarbonate, so polycarbonate scratches really easily. So there's really no worry there. I like to cut downwards if I can. Let's see, I scratched it there. But that's totally fine. You can clean that up with doing this. Yep, see? whatever. It is what it is. It's not a precise thing at all. So the next thing I'll do is I'll grab my snips. You can see they've already got some polycarbonate on them. And I'll go across. So I'm trying to break some of the polycarbonate off so I can get my blade in the center of this. Again, not a precise thing at all here. You're trying to just cut a chunk out so you can start getting your blade in. Once your blade is in, you can cut away this stuff really easy. The problem is getting the blade in. So you can see I removed 2 larger chunks out of it. Now let's see if I can get my blade in to the body of the mag. So yeah, I was able to just really easily poke in there. I poked in there again, and since I had that cut there, and it was thicker, my blade stopped where that cut is. So now what I'll do is I'll poke through. Yep, I cut it, and I'll poke through again. Now I've chopped that piece out. I'll either use a pick, flathead screwdriver, something like that to poke it out of the way. Dump it out of the mag, see? Bigger chunk. And now you can start really chiseling away at that edge, making it the right size. So I'll go through here, I'll poke through there. You can see that it just breaks right through. Once you have a hole in the actual mag, it will just start to break right through. We'll go through here. You can see the shaking a little bit. It's difficult to break through, but it is what it is. So we'll go down and we'll start to carve this way, because you want that to actually line up with it. We're going to carve, where am I? We're really only missing this edge now, so we'll start to carve into that edge a little bit more. Yep, just like that. And we can break it, just like this. You can grab your snips, pull the piece out. So now, we're going to clean it up. We're going to make it look more square. It's not square at all right now. It's quite round, actually. But you'll want to take your knife in. You want to square off the corners. Cut away a corner like that. You want to clear up some of the lines. So this line right here is crooked. So I'm going to make it less crooked by simply shaving away at it. And this is when I would hazard you to pull out your Diana and see if you can make it actually fit inside the Diana and lock in. So that actually locks in really snug. So what I'll do now is I will put away the knife and I will start to deburr it. So you want to go in here, take away all the really sharp edges on the inside of the mag if possible, because in the inside of the mag you're going to run into where you want the darts to pass by. It can't be stiff. It can't have any burrs. You have to be able to look down the mag and there not be any burrs in there. It's hard to see because it's such a dark mag, but it works quite well overall. It is, like I said, not an exact science, and there's no real clean way to do this. It doesn't involve marring your mags or making them look a little poor, but I assure you that it's worth it to be able to have more mags for a blaster. I would highly recommend doing this if you've got Nightingale mags. This does not make your Nightingale mag inoperable in your Nightingale. I'll go get my Nightingale for a quick second. Alright. Still fits in my Nightingale. So I'm not worried about that at all. Frankly, all you're doing is adding another hole to your Nightingale mag. And if you stick your finger on there, well, it's hard for me, but I'll oftentimes stick a pick in and try to poke the chunks that are left in there. It's hard to see. Let's see if I can get it. Focus. Let's see. Yeah, you can see the light poking through. You want to make sure there's no burrs in there. I'll oftentimes use a pick just to brush a little bit off. Again, it's polycarbonate, so it's a softer plastic, so you can kind of cut through it pretty easy. And now I will put the mag back together and then show you it firing out of the Diana. So as you can see, we've got our Diana, we've got our mag with the notch cut into it. We're going to load it, locks in. Fires fine. I just knocked something over. That's fine. It does full auto. I'm going to point this somewhere else so you can listen to it. Empty. So, yeah, that's how you do it. I'd recommend cleaning these up as best you can. You want it to lock in. You want it to lock in with almost no jiggle. So you can see that I have no lateral movement, as opposed to the normal Diana mag, which you also have no lateral movement. So that's extremely nice to have. yeah, other than that, stay tuned for more parts for the Diana coming soon. Yeah, thanks for watching.